And you can hear me? No? Yes? Very good. Okay. Let's find a comfortable position and close your eyes and just recognize what is here in this moment. See if you can be completely attentive with what is. Just recognize it, notice whatever emotion or thoughts or bodily sensations, even if the body is uncomfortable, whatever it is, you just experience this moment. And whatever comes through the senses, you just notice it, you just register everything. But you don't need to touch anything. You don't need to go into any thinking or any of the thoughts. You don't have to conceptualize. You don't have to create any expression. You just notice the present moment as it is. Completely attentive, completely alert. The purpose of noticing the moment like this is to take you out of your daily rut of just going with your thoughts, of always reacting to the content of the mind, and instead being aware that it is the expression of it, and to notice that you can observe it, that you are prior to this expression. It is not an escape from the present moment, it is the complete surrender into it, the complete acceptance of the moment. It's not an exercise meant to fix you. It is coming back to what is always here, the expression of beingness. This is an expression that is prior to any thought. That is the thing in you that can recognize that there is thinking. And when I say thing, it's not really a thing. It's just awareness itself. It doesn't have any attributes. It just is. And at first, when you explore this awareness, it feels like it's completely intangible. And that is actually correct. You cannot catch it. It's not a thing. But if you relax into this moment and you accept this moment as it is, the awareness and the expressions of the awareness can shine. And you will notice that in these gaps, in these moments of space between thoughts, there is tremendous peace, expansiveness. There can even come an expression of love through that. But it's not a state of doing. It's not a strategy. It's not a way of forcing yourself out of the mind somehow. It is the deep embrace of this moment as it is. Most people's default behavior when it comes to their mind is a kind of a battle. Trying to find the positive, trying to be strategic with your mind, trying to fix it. But meditation is not that. It is seeing through all of that. Seeing through all of these strategies and all this doing, all this trying, all these ideas of becoming something, and just be with what is. And meditation is not a quick fix. It requires your sincerity and a bit of patience. But when you stop fighting the mind, it can start to calm down. That opens up the possibility for peace. And if you get drawn into thinking, just come back to noticing that there is thoughts. Break the old habits of the mind. And even if you're struggling today, see that you can notice that sense of frustration or struggling. if you notice that you have a tendency to try to make the mind quiet, stop that and just allow thinking. Just allow thoughts to happen. You don't have to force the mind quiet. Just allow everything. And the tension of the thoughts will subside. Thoughts thrive in resistance. Notice that. And even if the mind presents you with the past and the future, no matter how attractive those thoughts might seem, you just observe. You recognize that everything is unfolding in this moment, in this present moment. Even the thoughts of the future, the thoughts of the past. They're just another expression that comes and goes in this moment. You can slowly open your eyes, move your body if you need to, stretch out your arms and legs. Our experience is strange in a way, because when you get guided in meditation, and perhaps you have done this before, it's so easy to come to a place of deep stillness. But it's equally as easy to be seduced by the mind again, going into your patterns of identification and be in a complete trance of the idea of you as a person in a situation and your life is happening. And it feels like this presence this awareness of the present moment is far away. But there is no distance. In actuality, you cannot lose it. You cannot become something else. You can only believe that you are something else. And I understand from how you might experience it that it seems like the same thing. It seems like you have lost awareness. But that is ridiculous. You cannot lose what you are. This is the whole foundation of being. Every expression and the expression of the body and the idea of you as a person moving about in the world and your situation and your life is just that, an idea. And you can notice it through its changefulness and how it always changes. How you believe one thing now and you believed another thing 5 years ago. And who you are, what your position is, what your possibilities are, all these things. But there is something in you that does not change, that is the same now as it was then. In your experience, you can always recognize thinking, the ideas, belief, all this. There is something that does not change, that is always the same, that does not become, that is never lost, that is never hurt, that is never traumatized, that is never broken, that is always the same. And in meditation, it is the recognition of that. To remember that. Because it's so easy to get lost in the world where everyone talks about you as a person, moving about in this world, having a lifespan, living in time, all this. And if this would be the first time you heard these things, they might seem strange or far-fetched or extraordinary in some way. But in actuality, they're very, very ordinary. We're just looking into things as they are, instead of as we want them to be. It's not a philosophy that I want you to believe in, or you should try to live, or something like that. It is looking into what is this moment. What are the qualities of this? What are the qualities of reality? You might call something real. You come back from vacation, you say that you come back to reality. But that is not coming back to reality. That's come back to another idea of what your life is. Because if your life feels burdened, it must be burdened by something. You must have a belief that there is some heaviness to your life. You understand? That the situation that you're in is real in some way. And the heaviness of that. And I don't mean that you should not consider your responsibilities or live in the world or do things that you would like or and avoid things that you dislike. You can do whatever you want. But I just want you to look at this moment as it is. Understand that the thoughts that are coming is not telling a true image of you. They're always compartmentalized and doing something for the benefit of the egoic mind. And the ego, it has only one purpose. It is to continue existing. And for many people, this continuation that the ego has feels like the way that you survive. But the strange thing is that beyond the ego, there is still an expression of being, but ego itself, it just wants to propel itself. It has no reality to it. It's just another play. It always says, what is the continuation? What is next? And I'm not saying this to believe in. I want you to see it. I want you to see that in your life, as soon as something is done, can you be with that doneness? You understand? Instead of going into the next thing. Because the mind will always say, oh, now we have to strive for this instead. Now we have to go here. And see how prone the mind is to do that behavior. How much it struggles to. And if you don't give into it, that it goes crazy in a way. Because it's so used to have its way that there is always a next thing that I'm looking for. There's something to play with. And this is one of the tells that the mind is it just wants to go on. The idea of the mind is just to continue, to thrive in the dissatisfaction of this moment. And if you look at it, you notice that so many of the things that is propelled comes from that. And I understand that it's not comfortable to look at this, that this is not the nicest thing to look at. Because it also feels like, but what is my motivation without these things? What will I be? And this is a very valid question. Because when the drive is very externalized, it's only with things and achievements. And as soon as it moves inwards, it can become something else. Suddenly, you're more prone to look for peace, what creates a silent mind, what it really means to surrender, instead of just looking for things. And don't be too harsh. Allow, if there's a longing for external things, allow that to play out. If you can see through it, great. And don't suppress things. Just allow them to be expressed. Otherwise, there will just be another resistance in thoughts, and the mind creates more tension. To a certain point, you just have to allow your expressions to be there. To long for things, I think that this kind of satisfaction in my life is gonna create something. Then allow that to express to its potential. And also see what it is. Because so many of these things that we hold on to, that we hold as very, very important, is just to have a feeling of hope. To have a feeling that if I do that, my life is going to be great, or it's going to be more fulfilling, most people feel like. And also if you are very heady and philosophical, just allow yourself to go the threads all the way. Just allow them to be expressed. I want to really know this. Yes, Just allow it. Instead of trying to fight, oh no, I'm going to be more devotional now. Don't force yourself in any way. Just allow whatever expression is there to go, because that will make the least friction. Otherwise, there would just be another clash of thoughts. And you will get lost in this. You will try things and you will notice that, oh my God, I'm suppressing things, or I'm doing strange behavior with myself because I think that something is better than another thing. And it's so easy to do that. But in this deep allowance of it, it can be expressed, and that usually just shows that it might be valuable or completely invaluable. There isn't a fixed way of going on a spiritual journey. There is not a step 1, step 2. Because you will all be in different places, and you all have different ideas of what your spiritual path is, what meditation is, where you're going, what you're gonna get, whatever it is. And all those things create a unique expression. And perhaps for one person, something that is super challenging is for the next. They never even thought about it. It is a no thing to them. And that is also the beauty of a Sangha, that you can see other people with other qualities and just understand, oh, you can just accept that. The thing that I am fighting with, someone else is doing so naturally, and you can just tap into that naturalness of acceptance in that. And if you're sincere in your spiritual search, that will also become a struggle. But it can still be beautiful, but you will really try to get something out of it. And the ego will have its things where it's really, really, okay, I'm gonna have a push now. I'm really gonna apply myself more in this coming month, or it can have all these ideas of what it should be. And just allow me to finish. And if you're attentive of those things, you can recognize these behaviors. That is the best. When you go from just being the behavior and being absorbed by it, to going into observing it. And this is always possible. And when we start meditation, it feels very difficult to observe. And that's just because we're so mesmerized by the mind. We're so taken by the things that the mind say. We think that they are so important that we so easily go into them. And as soon as you start to break that, and you can do that in every moment in your life by just coming back to observing that there is thinking instead of being completely identified with thinking. I cannot stress that point enough. That is the most important. And I understand that if you're not so used to with observing your mind, that it will feel abstract and it will feel difficult, but that is a very tangible thing as soon as you start to recognize it. You can just come back to it, and when the mind is too much, you use the inquiry. You ask yourself the question, to whom is this happening? And you're looking for the source, and the source is always the same. There's not a person in the center of your experience, there is awareness itself. And it can be shown by just asking such a simple question as, who is the one experiencing this? Did you have a question, Ola? Then you have to take the mic. No? Okay. Meditation is very direct. And one of the things that are difficult with meditation is that directness. And when you start to recognize that you can stay and just be aware, it can feel very, very... You start to get the perspective on how much the mind is trying to distract you. That the mind is very extreme in that sense. And since we also live in a culture where there are so many distractions now, we don't have much gaps in. Everyone has a little computer in the pocket that can distract them at any time if they just feel like it's too much. So that behavior can become very, very extreme, and it will be very exposed by the meditation practice, because you will notice that certain things don't serve you very well. As soon as you go into the distraction, more distractions come from and your other behaviors gets triggered. That's also want to just get away from this moment. But if you're aware of it, most people are not aware of that thing happening, and the more you observe your mind, you will notice that these distractions will be very, very obvious. Oh, now the mind wants to go. Oh, it really wants to go. You can notice all these very, very strong behaviors from the mind, and how it is looking for. You sit in your meditation perhaps, and you notice how the arm almost wants to reach for your phone because it just wants something. And with some behaviors, it will be the easiest to just be aware, exploring them. That is a beautiful way to be with them. Not to resist them, not to say this behavior is wrong, because that just creates very big friction in the mind. You understand? As soon as you say to yourself, I'm not allowed to do this, you will just go, you just made it stronger and more interesting. So we're very much like children in that sense. If you deprive a child of something, you say, no, you cannot go there, you cannot do this. The child just wants to do only that. And it's the same in our makeup. So when we allow things, we also take away the tension of them. And with awareness, we notice what the behavior does. And it can be very clear that something that you're very drawn to, and when you're not, when there is ignorance of it, you would just go with it. But when there is awareness, you notice that it doesn't do anything. It just holds a false promise. And this is very much the whole game of the egoic mind. It always holds a promise in time, that in the future you're going to get the thing. You're going to get fulfillment. It's going to be better. It loves to hold that up. And if you're completely taken by your mind, it's very brutal to take that thing away. But if you're sincere in your spirituality, then you have to start to look at that at some point. Because for the identified mind, that feels like the whole meaning of life. You understand? So be gentle with this, but if you feel ready with it, really look at those things. Look at the things that you project into the future and wants to give you this fulfillment. Look if it really does what it says that it does. You have to take the mic.
So this involves thinking about doing sadhana as well, or
yes, what sadhana is going to do for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The results. Yeah. If there is ambition in it, if there is just being with it, that's
and part of the drive, but it's just a very in a sense. From one perspective, you could say that the drive in doing your practice, in doing your sadhana, your meditation practice, it holds a false promise. But from the ego, that is still a drive that is. I cannot say that it's negative. You understand?
Yeah.
I would still say that is a good drive to have. That you are looking for fulfillment through it. Because you will look inward into that, and that can show you the falsehood of the whole experience and the illusion of it. Because, so I would say that drive in a sense is positive, even though it's not 100% true. Because what the mind thinks that it will get, it won't get that.
Yeah.
Because there is no gold at the end of the rainbow. There is no medal that you're gonna be achieved. You won't have a prize at the end of it.
Yeah, and in the same way, we can have an inner dialogue that we are very sincere, but that sincereness is only on the level of the mind, maybe.
Yeah.
Or do you understand what I mean by that?
Because, yes, you can seem very sincere. Like an example, you can read a lot of books on Vedanta, non-dual philosophy. You can recognize a lot of, you can quote things to the left and right. You know all the terminology. You know everything. So it seems like you're very sincere with the practice. But you can be completely in that. You just escape the real confrontation with yourself, and you just build an ego around knowing all these things. This is a very common thing that happens.
So basically, I'm escaping confronting who I actually am, and the ego upholds this by keep on reading things and trying to understand things that you can never actually understand.
Yes.
And then it just has to do that until it doesn't have to do that anymore.
Yes. The ego feels that there is some satisfaction in this. So it creates a loop that feels good. And now I have understood the next thing and all this. But it's so easy that it just becomes a play of that. There is no real confrontation in it. There is no not any real looking, and there is so much emphasis. These texts are held so highly in many circles that they become the holy thing instead of you really looking.
Yeah.
So since other people also will respond to, oh, he knows so much. He has read so many books. He can quote this and that. He knows all the ins and outs, all the words. It can be people around you can have the same reaction, that you understand that they just think that, oh, he knows so much about the subject, but this subject is not like that. And I enjoyed it so much when I was with my guru. He is not a scholar in any way, And people asked him about text in the Upanishads, and he asked me and Chitragupta to send him those texts so he could read them, because he hadn't read them. He didn't know them. So he said, can you send me this, because I get questions about this all the time. And he wanted to see what they said. But for him it was just practice. It was just the sadhana, it was just the experience of it. So it's beautiful that is not needed.
No, but sometimes also reading things can help you a lot.
Yes,
and
they can clarify things, and there are so many good texts in Vedanta. But what are you doing with them? What is the sincerity in it? If you're sincere in just being an intellectual scholar of Vedanta, then that is not sincere from my perspective. But if you use them as inspiration to really look into your beingness, then that is great.
Yeah.
But everything can be used like this. Nothing is pure. It's so easy to also that the mind thinks, I'm just reading things that are really, really good and really, really true and very direct, so it has to be good. The mind can create monsters of them, can create perversions of them in so many ways. So that's why guidance is so important. That's why but my time with Swami was not mainly an intellectual exchange. It was very, very little of that. And I think that many people might be frustrated with a teacher like that. In the beginning, he didn't even speak any English. So in certain situations, I could not even communicate with him. But it didn't matter, because he just showed me beingness from his example. And this is the most important. And this is also the most important part of it. When I get asked, but how do we spread these beautiful things into the world? You spread them by being them, not by talking about them. If you are the Vedanta, you will just be it, and people around you will say, I want to be next to you because I feel peaceful when I just sit here. Can I sit here? They will do things like that. That is the beauty of the practice and the effect of the practice. It should be like that. And they will ask you, what is it that you do? How can you be like that? I've seen you in situations that cause people to panic or making them worried, but you don't seem worried. How do you do that? Please tell me. And that is how teaching come about. It's such a beautiful practice in that sense. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, and also I think when I have read and listened to things, it feels very, in some way, very compulsive, and it can be pleasurable, but it is also a lot of pain in it, like a very, very much pain.
And explain to me how you experienced that.
How I experienced that.
How, in what way is it painful?
That you just keep on pushing yourself.
Yes.
Okay. Just like, that's what I mean, like compulsive, like you can't stop. Yeah. That's not very nice. So no. maybe that's a good thing, at least, that it's painful.
Yes, and the reason that it is painful is that you're pushing. You're trying to find something to get away from your state.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is driven by pain.
Mm.
And a part of it, maybe that is how it's expressed for you in a while, but you have to find the parts of it. And I know that you also look at things with great love, and you're overwhelmed by the beauty of certain texts.
Of course. Yes, of course.
Overwhelmed by the beingness in it. But there comes these parts of the expressions of the ego where it really wants to find something, and quickly, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And it just grabs something in you.
Yes.
And then you keep on looking at things and like just, just it just becomes a headache.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if we look at it from a broader perspective, actually this pain of feeling separate is a very good thing, because it pulls you towards, at a certain point you feel like this is not worth it. I cannot go into this anymore, because it just creates a sense of me striving, and it just creates more separation and more pain.
Yeah, I have to start to, or have to, but to start to do what they actually says in the text, right? Yeah, I do that too, but yeah.
Yes,
but
I understand.
Than,
but I understand what you mean, because you can just like the texts because they write such beautiful things. But that is mainly for the ego to just feel like, oh, this is beautiful. But also that adoration of Vedanta and the adoration of non-duality can also be a way of keeping you away from it. Because it can also, when you say that something is so magical, so fantastic, so beautiful, it can also create a distance.
It's like
because can you be that?
Because it's like you dream up like such a magical thing of something.
Yes, but it can be, there can be, you can see that beauty, but you don't think that it applies to you, really.
Yeah.
It is the subject that is so beautiful, or a teacher that is so beautiful, or a context that is so beautiful. But if you would turn it around and say that you are so beautiful, you would say no. Because that is the most difficult thing. And I think that feels most hidden to most people.
Yeah. When you say that, it feels like when I have what do you say when you get a lot of impressions, like when you read, like that can be kind of a lot, like a bit overwhelming, and often many things for me feels very light when I can express myself. So I think maybe some kind of expression, and finding an expression in that can also be a very good way into the practice.
And people are very different when it comes to understanding things also. Some people are more that they have to express it. Some people are more just listening and digesting it and being with it, and after a while it comes to fruition in them. Somehow it feels more lived. And some people have to really meet someone and talk and discuss it. So it's just different ways of approaching it. But the things that you are aware of, like, sometimes you just read things because they're nice and you're not really practicing them. They're not really so close. They don't feel like when you read them, they're not about you. They're about the subject. This kind of distancing is very good that you're aware of. And how you relate to that. Because you are the practice. You are the sadhana. There's no space between that. The things that you find beautiful in Vedanta is Ula. Do you understand? They are the essence of you. They are your beingness itself. Yeah. And as soon as you externalize them, you say that this teaching is one thing and I am this sorry soul happening somewhere else, striving for this teaching, striving to be be connected to oneness, to be connected to the awareness itself.
So basically we are Vedanta then.
Yes. You are the teaching. Yes, there's a question.
I heard about like that there's not some gold at the end of the rainbow, and I feel maybe a little cautious about this question. I don't even know if it's a helpful question to ask along this line or not, but it's about kind of the difference between states and stages on the spiritual path.
Yes.
And we can have like these meditative states that are transitory. And I guess my question is about like, and it also seems like there are stages of like kind of stair steps in some way. I don't know if you would agree with that, but I feel like, is like that, are those stages just kind of composed of longer and longer meditative states like pushed together, or is there like some kind of transition that happens?
The idea that how the mind approaches it, the ego likes to measure and see things as progressive. So it's very easy for the mind to look at what we're talking about and say, oh, there seem to be, I seem to be on stage 3, and there seem to be a stage 4 and 5, and this could happen, and this. But the mind doesn't give a true picture at all of what it is, because the view from beingness is not progressive at all. Then there is just this. There is no time. There is no progression. There is nothing that have happened or is going to happen. There is just beingness. And that you can fall out of your identity, which usually happens with everyone who practices spirituality in some sincere way, that you have these moments of, oh, there is no center, there is no time. You could say all these things very, very clearly. But you come back into something that is identified and makes an analysis of that state and says, yes, I went through that and this happened, and now I'm in this state. It will talk in these terms, but if we're going to be completely frank, that is not true. Those states and those ideas of it is not true. That is the mind's interpretation of where you're at. Can I talk like this? Yes. So the state of beingness is just it's just that it will be revealed since you stay close to it, and since you start to be aware of your mind. You will just fall out of identity. And how that happens is also just through grace, and it will just come because it's not something that you can do. Because that is also the idea of the mind, that there is doership into this, but it's the recognizing time and time again that you are beingness. And that in itself to the mind can seem like a doing, but actually it's just being aware of this moment and not as a someone. So it's not in the domain of doing, but from the mind's perspective, it seems like something you can do. I'm just trying to be as frank with you as I can, and this is the best I can do.
find somewhere in me that understands, even if my mind doesn't completely understand.
Yes, but it is it can feel strange because you can experience in moments where you feel very, very free in your practice. It's so obvious. It feels like it's always been like this. How can I not always have seen this? And it's just very, very obvious to you in that moment. And then again, there comes a thought, and you identify as a someone, and suddenly a perspective has this trance-like idea of the person again, and you see it completely different 5 minutes later. And I think this is what many people get confused by in spirituality, that it can be so, that the identity is so fickle, that it can just come and go. It is not as, many people say, I have a very strong ego. No, you have not. There's no strong egos, because they're just a layer and that is after beingness. And it has to be upheld by belief. So it can seem very strong, but the only strength it has is ignorance. If you're aware of it, it's not strong. It is just another thing happening. And I understand that it can seem very pervasive, and it can seem to come back time and time again, and it seems to be there, and sometimes the trance is so thick and you just see your idea of yourselves and separation, and you feel so small and challenged in it. But the more you see through it, it can go from that, and you just ask the question once, to whom are all these things happening? And it just, and you're back into just being. And then again, it comes because you're not aware of how you separate yourself, and it has this play. And the more that happens, the more painful the feeling of separation becomes. And this is the beautiful thing that happens, because it just shows you more and more clearly what creates separation. Yes, I just want to make sure that you got your question answered.
Yeah, I did. There was something, some part of my mind still felt like unsatisfying about that, like it wanted an answer to something, but
yes. And this frustration with it is part of spirituality. It is a part of the seeking, to feel frustrated with the answers and feel like, but I'm getting no real answers, because the mind would like it to be very defined, very black and white. It would be lovely if I would say, yes, you're in this stage now, and there is this stage that is going to happen after, and there are things that are experienced like that, and it's very likely from a point that something else is going to happen. But to say that with certainty is to say too much. And the sincerity that you go into spirituality with is what's going to show you. If you can say, oh, I recognize this tendency to be too intellectual about it, or too much focused on finding an answer instead of looking at what is. Because the strange thing with how it is revealed is also that the answer is such a non-answer. And that is the reality of it. But when you see through it, you feel completely satisfied with that. Okay, I cannot know. Okay, So there is not knowing, and you just enjoy the not knowing, and you understand what it entails in your life, that the now is just unfolding as it is unfolding, and you feel trust to something greater because you see how it naturally unfolds, and however terrible it can seem in the moment, this is the purpose of what is going to happen now. And for some people that will have a more an expression that is more of a bowing to the universe, that you understand that what you bring is what is exactly supposed to happen, and when I can meet that with gratitude and I can absorb it and I can accept it, it becomes beautiful. It becomes transmuted into just beauty and grace and so much gratitude with life itself, that you are given everything. You understand that I am not doing this life and I am dissatisfied with how I did this or did that, or there's not enough of this or that. But you will instead see, oh, I am given everything. Everything that comes is given to me. All the beautiful things, all the things that are challenges, everything has come for the purpose of just propelling, for me to see that I am awareness, or for awareness to be aware of itself, whatever you want to call it. To be in oneness with everything. And I understand that it can be intellectually frustrating, but that is a part of it. And it is fine to also go with that. To go with your mind to the end of it. See if it can solve it. See if there is an answer that is like that. And see what that does. Does it create separation or does it create oneness? What is the outcome? And you might be super frustrated with that. and sometimes that is what is needed to be shown how to give it up. And that it creates nothing. If you're aware of it, that it doesn't create the results. It doesn't make the mind more quiet. It makes the mind more busy. It just, you start to recognize that it just wants to continue to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, is never satisfied. It just comes from this sense of dissatisfaction that I want these answers. And I want it to feel stable and in a certain way and in control often. But the experience just happens. Thank you. Did you have a question? Yeah, okay.
It's about when you said talked about separation, and then we get the taste of not being so separate, and that it becomes more and more painful. I mean, yeah, that seems so accurate, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just screwing it up for myself, but and sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, like I just have a memory that sometimes these things I used to be able to feel more satisfied of them. I don't know.
What things?
We just distractions or.
Yes, you felt more satisfied from the distractions before.
Yeah, in some ways my life is just
worse.
Becoming worse. Is this common or what?
Yes. Yeah. Because you are very honest with the things. And you have a deep trust, and you are very honest with your spirituality. So you will have, this is the effect that it has. And I know, I'm sorry that it's not nice. But that is part of its expression, and that you're losing your distractions, that they're losing their potency because you see through them. You just see them as simple distractions. They don't have this magical thing that they had before, when you could were more mesmerized by them. You were more taken by them, the things that distracted you.
And sometimes you want to be able to be more taken, even. But you know, it's
yes.
not,
You want to get away from this moment, of course.
I mean, this is not the same situation, but or just with different objects. But I listened to a man, and he was an alcoholic, and he did some drugs as well, and then something just, he just knew, I can't do this anymore. Or not like I want to stop, because he didn't want to stop, but he just couldn't.
And then, didn't do what it used to for him.
And he wasn't interested in Advaita or anything. but it just that just came through him, like, by time.
Yes, and it. I think that many people also think that spirituality is like, spirituality is going to happen if you're interested in spirituality. No. Your life is going to happen whether you're interested in spirituality or not. It's just a little bit more direct, and that you have a context where you can talk about it directly. But life is like that. For people who have never heard of Vedanta, they will still have stories like this, that they lose the interest in their distractions because they start to be aware of the effects of it, and it's not so attractive anymore. They lose the interest in it, and they don't know what to do. But the beauty of being in a spiritual tradition is that you can start to understand, I just devote my life to sadhana more, because you have a spiritual outlet in it. And there are, and the reason why I also show different mantra meditation, we do active meditations here sometimes, we do inquiry, all these things, is because when you start to feel like doing your sadhana, you might be too restless still for you to just sit with it. So you need to do something. And then you can do all these concentration exercises for a while.
I just notice if I don't do my sadhana, like, I just feel like, I don't want to live like this life, basically. Like, that's how I feel, actually.
Yes.
Like this is just like torture or like punishment, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
And I know that can seem a very harsh life, and that it feels like life is really grinding you. It's really smushing you. But yes, but it can feel like that it's just under the thumb of life. It really pushes you. But the beauty that there is nothing that feels important but sadhana is very, very beautiful.
I can see that.
Yes. So just make your home in that, and
but there is resistance to it.
Yes, of course, because there's also all the ideas of, am I worthy? This is a big thing that I think that many people don't believe that will be an obstacle. And that the obstacles will not be obstacles of beauty. They will just be darkness that I overcome in some ways, and then I come out into the light. They never considered that the light, approaching light itself, is the biggest challenge. Most people don't find themselves worthy of being with that. They say, I am not ready, I am not worthy, I cannot be this. I don't know, and if they experience this deep stillness and so much love that is overwhelming, they say, I'm not worthy. Who am I to have this expression? And that resistance can be so deep in you.
And it can hide in different, like it can deceive itself, like it doesn't necessarily come like that.
No,
directly,
it doesn't have to come. It can just start to avoid the light. It just says, it scares the shit out of me. And you can just have a feeling like you want to keep it here. I don't want to go too much into that. I think the beauty of the stillness and the love that comes with it, to just embrace that fully and say, come. It's quite rare. And for most people, when they start to see that, they had to take it in stages, in small steps, to just get used to the beauty of it. And just those small things, like you start to be feel much more aware, and the mind is more quiet, so it just everything has the quality of feeling much more intimate and much closer. Colors feel more vibrant, everything feels more. For many people, even that small thing is a big thing that starts to permeate the whole of their experience. It just feels like a lot. It feels very intense.
But can't it, like for example with bhakti, then you also give love to someone else, but you find it in you. I mean, maybe that could also be a...
For many people, that is the bridge of just this allowance of the being grateful, and also not being so focused on the small I, to surrender in that, and just also allow. It's also a question of allowing that beauty, of allowing that inner love, and to have an expression of that and the gratitude of that. All those things are in the expression of singing bhajans and doing ceremonies and having some practice of bhakti.
Yeah, because I noticed that when I read from whatever tradition, actually, when people have that devotion, that it is very often that it what do you say, like that it wakes up something deep in me, or that it stirs up something deep in me.
Yes. Because it's something intuitively in you senses that this is the way to approach that. Because for some people it can be very direct. They can just say, I accept that, I allow it, da da da. But for some people it needs more of an expression that feels to be in line with that. So this is just a different expression. Yes, like singing bhajans, doing ceremonial things.
While for other people it just comes naturally in like whatever way it wants to.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Or more just through words and the acceptance of it, if it's very natural in them. But it's just sometimes it needs this physical expression. And you seem to be drawn to that, so just allow that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
So I wonder if you could speak something about like physical pain and how to relate to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Physical pain have two parts to it. It has one part that is resistant to the pain, that's identifying with it. It sounds strange when we say identify with the pain, because it sounds like you somehow accept it, or but that's not really what's happening. When when I use the term identifying with pain, it's just like there is some resistance with it. There is a part of the experience that says, I don't want this experience. I cannot accept that there is pain. And for most people, they don't know that they do that. They just have a feeling, I don't want pain. That is the simple experience of it. But that part is the part that suffers the physical pain. That is what makes the physical pain feel personal and feel like you are the victim of it. The other part is that there is just an expression of pain, but that is in its nature not personal. So the relationship is all in that identified part of it. And people have very different bodies, and as you age, the body feels more painful, and we all have all these relationships to it. If you mean that kind of pain, or you perhaps meant a more emotional pain, no?
No, I meant physical pain, but more like that when there is pain, then that is still a form of distraction. You know, even if it's not personal, it's still there. You still feel the pain. You know what I mean?
Yes, but do you mean that it takes your attention?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And that might happen, but that is only a problem also from the standpoint of identity. That I'm losing my focus on my mantra because my knees hurt, for example. Yes. But that becomes a problem only from the perspective of identity. Otherwise, the expression of pain in the knees happens and the mantra happens. Yes. And of course, you should never, if you sit in a certain manner and it's very painful, change your position. You don't have to, it's challenging enough, but when you cannot get rid of certain pain, if you would sit for a very, very long time, for example, then pain in the body is unavoidable. So you have to relate to it somehow, and it will show you how you identify with the body and with pain, and also in the moments where you don't identify, how it changes, how it very fundamentally changes. It changes much more in the physical experience than at least I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you won't go into these long things of trying also to get rid of pain. If the pain is there and there's nothing much to do with it, there's deep acceptance of that. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't bother you. It doesn't feel like it personally bothers you, or that you are a victim of pain. Those are very much identified states that happen. Thank you. Okay, we have a question from Rebecca.
Is continuing on the pain, because I am living with a chronic pain in my hip and back, and I had a knee and foot operation on one side, and maybe gonna need one on the right knee. And I lost my. I really feel you in the identification part, bringing the pain, because I love to dance. And it now means if I'm trying to dance, then my knee is painful for many days, or it's really, there's a lot of identification. But as I was listening to you speaking to this other person, how it reflects for me also the spiritual path with the emotional pain, or like how much do I try and change this by trying to intuitively be with the sensations or the pain or the stretching, to try how much do I believe the scoliosis in my lower back can change? I can be more pain-free, so I can dance, or the organism of me wants to just unfold, like, and how much do I just say, okay, well, it's there? And when is that coming from a place of giving up or not? But it's as I get older with my problems of like hypermobility, so as I get older, it's getting harder and harder to navigate this path of understanding pain and limitation in the body without getting very sad about that or lost in some way.
Yes. The challenge in it is it can seem on the surface like it is a challenge of balancing things, like how much can I push my body, how much do I have to be careful, but all those things also just it creates identification with it. All these trying and fixing and hoping for a surgery that's going to make me more pain-free, and all these things are observable. Remember that. If you come back to that, the intuitive sense will tell you. And that is much, much deeper than the surface level. What choices should I make?
I feel it really connects into the worthiness piece for me as well, that has been coming up today, and around allowing to receive beauty and worthiness, that I think that there is a lot underneath. If I just let the pain be, underneath is such a sense of unworthiness in not being able to move my body or express or be with beauty through dancing or these.
And I just want to say this because it's so common in spirituality, that there is so much talk about it, like the body as a temple, all these things about health, and the yogis talk so much about like you have to have your body has to be healthy in this way to be able to practice the sadhana and and I think that it's just such a harsh. I understand that if the body feels good and you're pain-free, it's like it's perfect conditions somehow, but I find it also ridiculous, I have to say, because then it would say that yes, someone in a wheelchair or someone who's paralyzed could not practice these things. That's ridiculous to me. And whatever your challenges with your body is, they can help you to propel spirituality. Because suffering is great of just showing you how you identify with things. The physical pain of the body is great of showing that. And the deeper you accept that, and the more you can feel gratitude for just the expression that all of this is, and that you are allowed to feel love and beauty and all that, and there's no conditions on that. There's not brutal conditions that said your body has to be in this state for it, or for me to feel free and happy I have to be able to dance. There is nothing that says that. If there is the possibility to do it and you love it in the moment. And then the day when it's not possible, love the moment still. Nothing is for granted. We are given everything.
It's
And
a good death practice.
Yes.
Like you have to really let go.
Yes. This is the real surrender. Surrender is to this moment. And if there is possibility to dance in this moment, there is possibility to dance, then the expression can be there. If there is just possibility to sit and be, sometimes the body is sick, sometimes it's broken, all these things will happen. Can be very painful. But there is still, beingness is behind all of that, the beauty of it. And the acceptance of this moment determines the quality of your life. If it's always, I'm going to go somewhere and become better, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, then...
One thing that I think I remember is when I was in my late teens and in this meditating Buddhist center, and they have very much this, like, there is no mind, there is no body, pain is an illusion, just sit through the pain, feel the sensation, it's just a distraction. And I heard, I think this is also a piece for me, that I can have put a judgment on how much I might react to a physical pain or something, like navigating this, how much should I ignore it, or how much should I tend to it?
Yeah.
But even if I hear myself, I get a little bored of, like, this is the ongoing mind trying, I lose.
Yes.
It's always this way.
But those are just the paths that you are that are well traveled in you. So you just go down the same paths mentally, and you will probably do that until you're aware that that does not serve you. Because you still have a feeling that this approach that you have has some kind of purpose that it's going to do. Yeah, yes, how you grapple with this problem of pain in your body and not being able to dance, and the ideas around it, and how you should weigh it, and how much pain you should endure, and that is just a makeup of your mind. That are the paths that you travel mentally, probably very often. So that's where you go. But as soon as you come back to being aware of that movement, you will be able to see in a moment that is not serving you. That this always trying to be in control, and what are the choices, and how should I calibrate everything, is just exhausting.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel separate from your experience, and it all the time takes a lot of energy. So when you come back to also notice like all the behaviors around your pain, it also, you just notice your mental behavior in being in control, and how much that also infuses into the idea of becoming something, of being a person that is rational, that does the right decisions when it comes to pain, or does all these ideas. And that they don't really have any purpose. They don't serve you. If you're with this moment fully, you will see what is possible and what is not possible, and the actions that will happen. And it doesn't mean to be, it's not an idea of being just do whatever. It is to really be in empathy and in love with this body that is painful sometimes, that is restless sometimes, that is whatever, and to be aware of it and see, how can I be really, really in tune with this? How can I really allow it to express, allow it to be sad for the pain that is felt, allow it to just invite all of it. And not trying to say pain is not real, the body is not real, because it just creates more distance. It's actually the opposite of that. Many people think that Vedanta says the world is an illusion, my pain is not real, my body is not real, everything is... But that pushing away of everything just makes it stronger. Makes it more real. And the acceptance of it shows its true nature underneath. That everything is beingness. But it will not be shown by refusing the experience. It is by allowing it. So that is the strange thing with surrender, because surrender sounds like you give the world up somehow, but you surrender into it. You invite all of it. And we go through, if we come back to the idea of stages, you could say we go through a stage of observing our thoughts, our body, all this. And at the end of the observing, there is allowing. And this observing has to happen for us to just be awake with it, to just be alert with it. Otherwise, there is too much ignorance. And then we can just invite the experience. And we invite our sadness, and we invite our thoughts of perverted thoughts, or whatever we have, all the ugliness that is there, and all the beauty of it, and we can just allow it. That is unconditional love. That is the deep acceptance of this moment. To invite all of it. I thought that today is Valborg, and it's a day of fire ceremony. So I thought that we could end today, instead of singing bhajans, we'll do a little puja. And if you who are online want to join, I will turn the camera around and see if we can find a way to include you as much as possible. They're getting nervous here. So let me change mic. So let's see. And you can hear me in this mic instead? Yes, I can turn it down a little. Today there is Stephen and Rebecca and Annika, and there's also Lucas, who's here for the first time, I think. I don't know if I have met, but has no camera on. And this is Richard, Ola, and Therese. Very good. So I think I'm going to use this because I need my hands. Okay. So this is a fire ceremony, and I do a simple version of it. There are a lot of steps if you want to do it like that, but I have made a simple version today. And the idea of the fire ceremony is just to it is the fire of Shiva. Is this the fire of destruction? So you can just give whatever you want to the fire, and it is a ceremony of surrender. I think it's very appropriate concerning the things that we talked about today. And it's just the different elements. I have water here, and I just do it like this, like this, and I'm gonna sing the Mahamrityunjaya-mantra. I think many of you know it. I will sing it a couple of times and I will explain more. Om Triyambakam Yayamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urdvar Ukame Bandhanat Mritror Mukshya Mamritat Om Triyambakam Yayamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhana Mritror Mukshya Mamritat Om Trembakam Yayamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mritror Mukshya Mamritat Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And we bow to the fire that symbolizes the fire within us, the fire of awareness that burns away all ignorance through our sadhana, through our practice, through inquiry, and leaves nothing but pure awareness itself, pure beingness. So with your intention, and if you might have something that feels like it's in this moment that you just want to give to the fire, you just completely surrender it, allow it completely, let it burn in the flames of awareness, but let it burn in the flames of beingness itself. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Allow whatever you want to give up be visualized and put in the flames. And bow to this deep acceptance within. Bow to the inner Guru. Bow to all the expressions that bring you these teachings, the teachers, the teaching itself, and your sadhana. Give thanks. This complete surrender and gratitude, the egoic mind can never go there. It wants questions and doubt. In this complete gratitude to what is, even the ego has to bow. And allow this fire to be a reminder of surrender. And you can remind yourself of this by the simple action of just lighting a candle at home, bowing, surrendering, lighting incense if you have. It's a very simple puja, very simple ceremony. But it's very good for the one who thinks he or she has to do everything. To surrender, to see the expression of life itself unfolding naturally. And to find a trust, find faith, understanding that the universe unfolds as it unfolds. As it should. And the translation of this mantra, the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, is that we offer ourselves to beingness, to awareness itself, which here is referred to as the fragrant one. The fragrance of beingness is love itself. That's why it's sometimes called the fragrant one. The increaser of prosperity. And they say, like a cucumber from its stem, may I be freed from the bonds of death, but not from immortality. And that is, of course, the immortality of beingness. And the bonds of death is the idea that you are the body. Thank you. Love you all. See you soon.